drug-resistant tuberculosis.
Rather than researching new drugs and vaccines, we chose to create an awareness program because with new drugs comes the potential risk for drug resistance.
Second to HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis is one of the most prevalent diseases in the world. In fact, with drug resistance, it is made even more severe. In a 24-hour time span, as much as 176 kids died due to tuberculosis.
There are distinct differences between Kenya and the United States. Differences in their economic production, in their political stability, in their education, in their standard of living, in their healthcare. And all these differences are what make it the responsibility of the United States to assist Kenya. And not only to assist Kenya, but to assist ourselves. Our goal is to create an education program or an awareness program to explain the dangers of not taking antibiotics, and the repercussions of not taking those is multi-drug resistance. And we want to prevent that because in the United States it costs $200,000 to cure one case of multi-drug resistance.
TB infects through airborne particles that lodge themselves in the lobes of the lungs. Initial symptoms include fever, fatigue, chills, night sweats, weight loss, appetite loss, and cough.
These crippling symptoms that Jamie referred to earlier are the cause of people's inability to work in Kenya. They're the cause of a huge economic and social impact in Kenya that causes isolation of these infected people along with their inability to work because of the symptoms. So you have one, isolation, which is restricting the person's movement, restricting what work they can do, pretty much restricting that they can work in many cases in Kenya. And then you have the fact that the nausea and the fatigue and the other debilitating symptoms are causing the person not able to do their job properly. And this causes a huge economic impact when you have so many people in Kenya that have TB and can't do work. You have all these people that aren't working in the economy, and that just causes the economy not to be able to improve and not be able to expand.
While researching drug resistance and tuberculosis, one thing that we looked at was the molecular level of extensively drug-resistant tuberculosis and how antibiotics work to combat the strain. Now, in your typical strain of any type of bacteria and antibiotic, the antibiotic is specifically created for one active site on the bacteria. So if this is the bacteria the tuberculosis bacteria, and this is the antibiotic, it fits in perfectly with the active site. One thing we looked at on extensively drug-resistant tuberculosis is a gene called EASE creates a protein called acetyltransferase EASE. And what this protein does is it adds an acetyl group, and the acetyl group's purpose is to block the antibiotic from working. So if you have the bacteria again, the bacteria adds this acetyl group to the antibiotic, so the antibiotic cannot fit, and therefore the bacteria can continue living and the antibiotic is proving useless. We also have a model of the protein itself, acetyltransferase EASE. And when you look at the protein, or of the model of the protein, there are two orange spots, two orange amino acids. If these amino acids were to be changed, then you would deactivate this addition of an acetyl group and the bacteria would be killed by the antibiotic.
A patient is infected with a normal strain of tuberculosis, TB, the purple cells. Then the patient begins taking first-line antibiotics, the teal bar. If a patient preemptively stops taking their medication, the current TB strain can mutate into multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, MDR-TB, the green cells, and then spread throughout the body. If the patient begins taking antibiotics, then they will have to begin the second-line drugs, the red bar. If discontinued again, the MDR-TB can then mutate into extensively drug-resistant tuberculosis, or XDR-TB, the orange cells. If the patient begins taking antibiotics, then they will have to begin third-line drugs, the green bar.
In 2011, it was reported that there were 10 million children orphaned due to tuberculosis.
As of 2011, the number of infected people in Kenya is 291 out of 100,000, in comparison to America's 5 out of every 100,000 citizens.